Procurement in urgent times, our critical role in response and recovery. As procurement professionals in the Southeast respond to Hurricane Helene and the impending landfall of Hurricane Milton, it's a good time to refresh on FEMA and procurement, both in terms of the initial response and then throughout the long recovery ahead. Eligibility and key considerations. In addition to state, tribal, and local governments, some private nonprofits, PNPs, are eligible to receive aid if they provide essential services like education, utilities, emergency response, or healthcare. Ensuring your organization meets FEMA's criteria and submitting a request for public assistance, RPA, promptly is a fundamental responsibility, as the RPA deadlines are strictly enforced. Strategies for timely and compliant procurement. Here are some strategies to ensure you meet FEMA's procurement rules while addressing immediate needs. So procurement under emergency conditions, FEMA allows for certain flexibilities during an emergency, but all procurements must still adhere to core principles, which are generally found in the Federal Code 2 CFR 200. All contracts must be in writing and include the required federal provisions. And when designing sourcing events, keeping in mind to embed milestones or reasonable timelines, because after the immediate crisis passes, there's a strong emphasis on shifting to competitive procurement to ensure compliance. Documenting procurement actions. Thorough documentation of every procurement decision is critical, recording why certain vendors were chosen, especially when using non-competitive methods, and ensuring that costs are justifiable as reasonable under FEMA guidelines. Failure to do so can result in disallowed costs and lost reimbursement. So act to maintain detailed records of all purchases, contracts, and labor costs associated with recovery. Leveraging a strong contract portfolio. Having pre-negotiated FEMA-compliant contracts in place before disaster strikes can save critical time. Additionally, federal provisions allow for cooperative contracting if the original contract was also bid to federal standards. Anticipating recovery. Looking beyond the immediate response, procurement teams must prepare for the long-term recovery phase. Cost reasonableness. Always seek multiple quotes for significant procurements, even during an emergency. FEMA's funding is contingent on demonstrating that costs are reasonable, and without multiple quotes or competitive bids, FEMA may reduce reimbursement. Managing costs and insurance settlements. FEMA will not reimburse costs that are deemed unreasonable or duplicative of insurance payouts. Ensuring that your insurance settlements are well documented and clearly distinguished between FEMA eligible and non-eligible expenses such as business interruption. Extending expertise. Funding received can be used to hire or onboard a recovery manager if the organization does not contain the internal expertise. And administrative consulting is generally allowable up to 10% of funding unless otherwise established in specific funding agreements. Avoiding common procurement pitfalls. Coordination and continuity. Procurement professionals may work with multiple FEMA representatives over the course of a disaster, and ensuring that your organization maintains consistent records of all communication, approval, and advice. This will prevent miscommunication if different staff rotate in and out of the recovery effort. Using incorrect contracting methodologies. Federal provisions don't allow for a cost plus a percentage of cost or percentage of construction cost awards, and also don't allow for time and materials contracts without a clear ceiling price. Affirmative steps. Federal guidelines require affirmative steps be taken to demonstrate how small and collectively disadvantaged firms are placed on solicitation lists, solicited when they are potential sources, and considering how your sourcing events may or may not be able to create opportunity. These affirmative steps are generally found in 200.321.b, and they are very important because you can't go back and do it afterwards if you didn't do it at the start. Fortunately, there's a lot of great information for procurement professionals. You can familiarize yourself with FEMA's guidance documents, including the Public Assistance Program and Policy Guide, the Procurement Disaster Assistance Team, Field Manual, and various fact sheets on the complex rules governing disaster-related procurement to help ensure that procurement activities remain compliant while also meeting urgent needs. Hi, it's Dustin Lanier. Thanks for listening. Please find me on LinkedIn for original public sector operations content every week, and please reach out to me if I and my team of procurement professionals at Civic Initiatives can help you be a public procurement change agent.